Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome once again to the show in the big top right here in our normal little cozy corner booth. It's the Top 10 Movie Podcast with Mike and Mulley. I'm the aforementioned, he's the before mentioned Mike. Mike, what's up?
What's up, man? It's a great day. I'm really excited for this episode. Maybe more than I have any other episode. And I'm going to tell you why. It's for two reasons. One, we're breaking the rule here. This is the first episode we do where we'll actually release it on time, meaning we're recording it on a Sunday. It's going to be out this Wednesday.
Ooh.
And the other reason is
We'll get it.
we're doing 5 and 5, but it's not the traditional 5 and 5. This is 5 movies that I had Mulley watch, and then we're going to follow it up with 5 of my favorite horror films. And we're doing this because it's spooky season.
Yep.
And I actually had a filmmaker friend, shout out to Tanya. She was like, you have to do a horror episode. Let me know when that is. Because she discovered our podcast a few months ago. And she lives in New York, so she's at a coffee shop in New York. And she binged like 3 or 4 of our episodes. And she loves what we do. And she was like, okay, where's the horror episode? I need the horror episode. Because she's a big fan of horror like I am.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll try to talk my co-host into it. He's not a fan. And she's like, just tie him down and make him. And I was like, well, I can't do that.
That goes right, Tanya. That goes right into the horror part for you, doesn't it? Just right into that. You want me to get me tied up and make me watch all these horrible things.
No, but I can't torture you in that way. So what we decided was, I said, hey, we need to do something for spooky season. I'm passionate about it, but I understand you have a certain threshold. So what you came up with, Molly, was pick like psychological horror / thriller. So there's still spooky elements to the films.
Yes.
And then you said, okay, you pick 5 and you'll watch them. And so I picked 5. You gave me the green light, and you watched them all. So
I did watch them all. I did my homework.
I am here for this. So we're gonna go with Molly's 5 first, and then we'll do my top 5 horror. Before we start, I want to get your overall thoughts on this.
Okay, so a little apprehension, but I will say this: that the movies that you gave me to choose from, and the ones that I ultimately did watch, they weren't horror. I don't consider them horror films. They had some horror elements to them, but they're more thrillers, and they're more psychological thrillers. And from the scares and the jump scares that were in them, I've seen worse. Actually, I've seen more gore and violence, and maybe even more like violently horrific things in a cartoon. Like if you've ever seen Invincible on Amazon, it's way more gory.
Yeah.
Or The Boys, which is not a cartoon, but The Boys, it's way more a lot of horrific and violent things. So this was just a bunch of thrillers that I'd never seen that you made me choose from. And it's Tanya, right? Tanya in New York?
Yes.
Tanya, this one's for you, okay? So what we're doing is I watched 5 movies for Mike in turn for you that help you guys hopefully get into the spooky season a little bit. And then Mike's going to break down his 5 favorite horror films of all time. I obviously don't have a 5 favorite of the horror film, so this was our substitution.
Compromise, basically, yeah.
And it makes Mike giddy because he got to make me watch 5 horror adjacent films.
Yes.
So that made him happy, and it wasn't really that bad. Actually, there's some really good things to talk about when we go through these. So. You asked for my overview of it. That's pretty much what it is. It wasn't as bad as, if you had sent me down a really horror road with like the classic, the Halloweens, the Friday the 13th, the Freddy's, and all those. You didn't send me down that road. You sent me down more of a road that would interest me, which is the more psychological thrillers, mystery. We got a little bit of everything actually in this list that you gave.
It was a good mix, yeah.
It was. There's a found footage film in here. It's kind of a bygone era now.
Yeah.
The found footage horror film or thriller film. So that was nice to have that in there. There's one of the movies was based on a Stephen King novel, so we got a little Stephen King in there. Did you know it was a Stephen King novel when you?
I didn't know at first.
So we'll see. And then we have some. I don't know if it's a horror classic, but certainly. One on the list that I think a lot of people associated with that. The new wave of horror films that aren't in the ones that I previously mentioned. And then there's kind of a couple wild cards in there. And and we'll go through them all. I don't want to give up too much. But
Right,
we'll go
right.
through the list.
Okay.
We'll go through the list. If you're ready,
Yes, I'm well prepared.
let's go. These are the top 5 quote unquote scary movies. I think more thriller movies that Mike made me watch. And Tanya made me watch. Tied me down and made me watch or commit to doing it. The first one we're going to knock off the list is The Purge from 2013. This movie stars Ethan Hawke, Lena Headey, excuse me. Directed by James DeMonaco. He did Assault on Precinct 13, I believe, with also Ethan Hawke.
Yep.
He's done the Purge movies after that have come: Purge Anarchy, Purge Election Year.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been riding this Purge train for a while. But this was the first one, 2013. This movie grossed nearly $100 million, a surprise hit from what I remember. For those of you who haven't seen the Purge, which I can't imagine isn't a lot of you, but the quick synopsis of this is a dystopian future where this wealthy family kind of fights to survive a night where all crime and all, including murder, is legal for 12 hours. So they have this. I'm going to spoil all these films, so this is going to be spoiler heavy. Just heads up, because I want to get through them, and Mike loves that I'm getting through.
Yes.
Them. But there is a creepy siren that plays when this purge situation starts, or it's basically the idea of it is that one night a year, all crime is legal, including murder, and most people in the film anyway barricade themselves to try and protect them from that. Some of them, though, they go out into the night to try and purge their negative feelings. And the thought about this is that they give you 12 hours of unmanaged, unpoliced activity, that people will get that out of their system, and it'll be a more pleasant and happy society afterwards.
Well, because crime has gone down like worldwide because of this, since they implemented the Purge.
But the reason why crime has gone down is controversial, because has it gone down because they're actually purging those feelings?
Yeah.
Or is it because the poor and the homeless and maybe those that are more susceptible to doing crime to survive are eliminated because they're purged? They don't have protection.
Right.
So that's brought up in the film as well. So it's kind of a does the purge really work? You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's might be a theme they carry out in future movies. I don't know. I just watched this.
Well, this is by far the best one in the franchise. I've seen all of them except for the last one. Right. This is the best one.
And this will be my last one. No, here it is. Out of all the movies that I watched in this list, The Purge had the best idea. That was the best idea. The execution of the film, I didn't care for. The acting, specifically by the children and their decisions that they made, I just couldn't understand.
Yeah, it annoyed me too.
They were too brash. They were too cocky for an event that I think as a child would scare me shitless. Sorry, that's the word.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anything. I would crawl into a corner in my secure house, in my secure room, and not come out for 12 hours. I wouldn't be bold enough to try and open the doors for people or to sneak in my boyfriend or whatever. I thought they wasted a huge opportunity in this movie, because I thought I saw it coming, and then afterwards I realized, oh, that should have been the way that it worked out. But that the teenage girl's boyfriend, who had snuck in prior to the purge starting and left, and then snuck back in after lockdown to confront the father, I thought that was a whole con by him and those people that were coming to get them in the house to lower the security.
Yeah.
So I thought he was the end.
Right.
But his only purpose in the movie, spoiler, is to just kill the dad.
Yeah.
That's all he wants to do, so him and the girl can be together. I think I don't even know.
That's what I took it as well.
Me too. And then the actions of the son in letting the homeless guy in that was screaming for help. Just, I understood that he showed a bit like, first of all, that little robot that he had running around looked psycho. And automatically think this kid's a psycho too. Like Purge would be his thing if he loves those kind of things. It was not. It was almost like he was questioning his parents. Would you take place in the purge? Would you do this?
Right.
And anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, I'm going in circles for you. I'm sorry, but I would just say the decisions by the children were I think, just out of character for what kids would be in that situation. For me, like at least one of them should be scared, not both of them be to the point where they're acting out, running away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was like, I'm sorry, and then run off in other section of the house. It made no sense. I thought there was an obvious avenue into why the security was down, or and that was the young lover that breaks in, but he has ulterior motives. Was my idea.
Yeah.
And he ultimately did, but not what I thought it would be. And then to make the kid the reason. Ultimately, the reason why the father dies is the kid's decision to let this stranger in the house.
Yeah.
Out of some sense of morality that I don't think we spent enough time on developing that character for me to believe that he would be somebody that would risk it all to do that. And I don't know.
That was the most upsetting part for me, was when Ethan Hawke's character gets killed. That was the most upsetting part, because I feel like it was pretty much over at that point. You think they're actually gonna make it, and then nope.
And I thought it had a great twist where it felt like at the very beginning of the movie that the neighbor who brought over the cookies was definitely jealous.
Yeah.
And they hinted at, they're coming after him.
Uh-huh.
And then when they had the twist of they saved him, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
They're saving the neighborhood. And then they twisted it back. And I was like, oh, that's where we went a little far. That's just, again. So to me, the best idea out of the group.
Yeah.
Just a wasted idea, but clearly not in a sense that it spawned so many movies and is so well known. And I've heard that Purge siren before. Somebody played it during something, I forget. It's something that was, I wouldn't say inappropriate, but it was just like another situation.
Yeah.
And the people who had seen the movie knew what that was, and it sparked in them.
Yep.
Like, oh, that's wrong, man, to play that right there. You know what I mean? Like it was at an event or something, I forget.
Some people have it as like
ringtones
or text alerts. My
right.
cousin's got it for his text alerts.
So if you know kind of a thing, right? So
I thought when I first saw it, I saw it shortly after it released on. Back then, they still had DVDs, 2013. So I saw it after it released on DVD. No, I'll take it back. I saw it in theaters with my ex-girlfriend at the time. And, well, we're exes now. We were not exes then. It's weird. But, most gonna be like, I'm weird.
I know, I'm just shaking my head like we're going to go down this rabbit hole.
No, we're not. Because she gets brought up a lot, which is kind of weird. No, but we saw it in the theater when it first came out. And I actually thought it was going to be much more violent and disturbing than what the movie we actually got was. And then also when the homeless, the black guy, the homeless guy, I thought he was in on the con as a way to sneak in the house.
I think we've been trained through all the movies that we've seen and things to suspect everyone.
Distrust everybody, yeah.
Everybody, especially in that kind of situation. But that was part of it that I like tower defense games, and it kind of felt like a tower defense game.
It did.
Because in my mind automatically was, all right, how would I fortify? How would I protect? And he's even going, there's no 100% way to like foolproof from.
Yeah.
And they proved it. I mean, they were able to yank those security things out, and then it was on. And, and they turned into different, I would imagine, these people with the masks on, they turn into different people during the purge. Like they're just letting them true selves out, I guess, or their more violent selves out in every notion that they have, every instinct they're feeling, they just act out,
Are you a fan of Frank Grillo? You know who that is?
I know he's in one of the Purge movies.
He's in the second one, and I know initially I said it's the best one.
That might be the best one.
2 might be better only because it flips the first one on its head. The first one takes place in one house.
Yeah.
This one takes place out in the streets. And Frank Grillo is the main character.
He's like protecting a candidate of some kind, right?
That's the third one. That's election.
Okay.
But this in the second one, you're right. Yeah, it's what's her name? She's from Lost, is what I know her from.
Okay.
The woman you're talking about, he's protecting, but that happens like in the middle of. But he's kind of like a Punisher type character in the sequel, and I think you'll like it because there's more of a straightforward narrative and without a lot of twists and turns.
I don't know. I like in the Purge done as a one location film. As a that could have been done on a very low budget. Probably was.
Yeah.
A fairly low budget for having Ethan Hawke and and the other actors in it. But it looks good. It looks good. But it could have been done as an indie film and probably been done really well.
I agree. I agree. And it was funny because I don't know if you thought this watching it, but I remember thinking because it takes place in one house, we don't ever really get the full layout of the house. So I always wonder, like I'm trying to watch this movie and figure out, okay, what part of the house are they in? Where is this taking place? Because once the chase is really on, the cat and mouse chase, there's things happening all over the house.
Right.
And I'm trying to figure out would this realistically work out logistically, with that many people in the house, the family members are in there, the homeless kids in there, and now these killers are also. There's like 10 people in this house.
How big is the house? One?
Right.
And then two, there's a point at the end of the movie where the father's in a fight with multiple people.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of gunfire. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then afterwards, there's a calm for a little while.
Yes.
And I'm like, that would not be the case. If there were 10 people running around your house and all of a sudden it was all quiet and all of a sudden there's gunfight and everybody would be drawn to that.
Right.
And he would be fighting all of them. But instead he just fought off two and they had a chance to kind of rest for a minute. So it was, again, there's some liberties. It's a movie. And obviously it was very successful for however much the budget was, that it spawned not only a pop culture like impact because of the siren and just everybody knows the name The Purge.
Yeah.
So it had an impact, but also it spawned a bunch of movies. So.
And it actually had a short-lived TV series on the USA Network, which, that's not even a thing anymore. That was decent, but it was just to expand on the whole Purge and the behind-the-scenes type stuff. Yeah. It wasn't near as effective as some of the movies were. But now that you watched it, is this like a one and done for you?
Oh, for sure. No, but I like the idea. Okay. And I just wish it was executed better. But I like the idea. If I was into that at the time and it was brand new, I probably would have liked it a lot more. But then seeing it so many years later, I guess, combined with I just didn't like the character decisions.
Okay.
I looked at it more in a critical eye. Man, it wasn't, but on the spooky horror scale, it's like a 2 or a 3.
Okay.
It's not much.
Okay.
Again, I've seen way more violence on cartoons or TV shows than I saw in this.
Have you seen The Strangers, 2008?
No.
Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler?
No.
Okay, this kind of had
similar
threads of that, but that's like a legit horror movie.
Okay.
Like a cabin out in the middle of nowhere, middle of the night.
Oh,
they're in there, and then these people show up at the house, and they try to break in, and they're wearing masks, just much like the killers are in this movie. But that's just like a true horror film.
Okay.
Now, if I pitch The Purge 2 to you as an unofficial
Punisher.
Punisher movie, would you watch it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're gonna watch it then. I try to trick you.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe. I'll put it on the maybe.
Okay. Maybe list. All right.
That might be we'll see what Tanya says. Okay. Tanya says I have to. Then maybe I have.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. So the next film. I'm gonna try to get through these. The next film is from 2017. This was straight to Netflix. This movie went to, and it's called Gerald's Game.
Well, hold on. But that's a Netflix original.
It is.
So I see a straight to Netflix and a Netflix original as different.
Okay.
Like if a movie was made for that streaming service,
all right,
I'd give it a little higher quality to watch.
Okay.
Versus a movie that was like when I hear straight to Netflix, I think of like straight to DVD or like Vudu or something like that.
No, this was made by Netflix for Netflix.
Right.
Okay. Netflix original. And I have another Netflix film. I don't know if it's a Netflix original, but you can tell me.
Okay.
Or if you know. This one's Gerald's Game from 2017. This was the one I had the most apprehension with. I had to choose between this one and a movie called Creep. And I didn't know which one I wanted to go with.
Yeah, talk to me about that because you texted me that you were like on the fence about both, and you chose this one ultimately outside of Creep. Why was that?
Creep just seemed like the scarier of the two. It was part of it based on the synopsis.
Yeah.
And this one, I don't know. I guess this was the lesser of the evils for me. So I was like, okay. Plus, it was they're both on Netflix, and I know the actors in this one. Okay. I didn't know any of the actors in the other one.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, at least I can watch something that I know is going to have good actors.
There you go.
It does. Carla
Gugino,
right? Gugino.
I love her too.
I recognize her. Can't say the name, but I recognize her from a lot of different stuff.
Yep.
And I love Bruce Greenwood. Bruce Greenwood's
By the
so
way,
good.
I didn't realize he was gonna look that jacked.
Dude.
To be as old as he is in real life.
Okay, yes. I'm glad that you. I mean, a little white, a little pale. Could have used a little bit of a tan,
Just a little bit, not too
but
much.
not too much. But for probably a man that is in his 60s,
Yeah,
he was.
he looked
He
great.
looked good.
Yeah.
But he knew that he was going to have to be shirtless.
So yeah, he put the work in for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Directed. This one was directed by Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan directed the Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah, which is also a Netflix original.
Doctor Sleep, which is the continuation of the
The Shining.
story.
Really good movie.
And a movie called Oculus.
That was I didn't like it. It wasn't that good.
But the synopsis of this movie was a woman must confront her deepest fears when a bondage game goes wrong, leaving her handcuffed to a bed in a remote cabin. So this is based, and I didn't know this going in, this is based on a 1992 Stephen King novel. So this is the Stephen King movie. There's some thought that it was initially thought to be unfilmable
Oh,
when it came out.
I didn't know that.
This is per CBR that I got a quote from. It said Gerald's Game, though not one of Stephen King's most well-known works, was considered unfilmable because the storyline is mainly set inside the mind of Jesse. To make this movie a reality, the creator would have to find a way to capture Jesse's character and self-reflection without diminishing the psychological intrigue of the story. And Mike Flanagan, I will say, was able to do that. And how he was able to do it was that he was able to, well, first of all, the premise of this movie is wild. Woman's handcuffed to the bed because of they're an older couple to try and reignite the flame of their marriage, which is clearly going out to the point where I think it's pretty much over at a certain point. They're both admitting this is kind of over at a certain point.
Yeah.
But
she even says at one point, this was never going to save our marriage anyway.
Right.
So.
And the presumable happens is that the man who had taken Viagra, I guess is what it was he was taking, has a heart attack and dies before he can get her out of the cuffs. He wasn't even attempting to get her out of the cuffs, honestly.
That was a little disturbing, that whole...
But the quickness of how quickly... I thought it was going to take a little bit more time to get into that.
Yeah.
And it was like within the first 10 minutes, he's dead.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God. Look, and so... but that's not the last we see of his character is the thing. And that's where the unfilmable, they talk about part, Flanagan was able to figure out. So basically her husband and I guess her more assertive self appear to her as hallucinations throughout the rest of the film. And in those hallucinations, she's able to work out the problems, and not really work out, but just like discuss the problems in their marriage, why she ultimately chose him, and then they start to get really dark with the fact that, well, she wasn't, I'm just going to say sexual abuse from her father is one of the reasons why she's selected this guy as her husband, she feels like, and she goes through that through her mind, and you see it visually represented, and they go back in that memory, and they discuss that incident.
I will never look at Henry Thomas the same again.
Dude, that's one of the things I was like, man, how do you sign up as an actor to do that? But that's your job, to be an actor.
Well, his hair in the flashback scenes, it looks crazy. So it kind of adds to it, but then this is not a scene I would ever expect to be in a movie like this.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to go in the directions that it did.
Yeah.
Much less throw in what you think is death.
The Moonlight Man.
To being an actual serial killer.
Yeah.
Who you thought through the entire thing, at least I thought, anyway, was a hallucination.
So did I.
That she was having. And it turns out that creepy dude was really in there. And probably, I know that they had said that he kills men, not women, so she was safe in a way, but also, like, his reaction, especially to her giving him her
ring, yeah,
almost made him think she was an hallucination.
Yeah, he looked a little
He was
confused.
amazed by it. Like, she's not, all right, she's scared of me, obviously, but she's like, the way she's reacting to me is like weird. And it was different.
Yeah.
And it made him, now, I do think that every time that she saw him in her, as she was about to fall asleep, after everything happened, that was an hallucination.
I thought so too.
Yeah, he's not in there every
Right.
time, but he was there. That how he found her, why he was there in that section of the wood. I don't know any of that part of it. So that was kind of a little far fetched or whatever. But yeah, the one thing she couldn't figure out was why the ring was still missing if everything was an hallucination. So that they weirdly figured out how to say that and solve that. But again, let's go back a little bit. She's in these handcuffs and she's got to figure a way to get out, and she's in this remote area. No matter how much she screams, it's probably nobody going to come by for days.
Well, remember, he doesn't just have a heart attack. He rolls off the end of the bed, and I guess hits his head hard enough. She starts to see the blood on the floor.
Yeah. And there's a dog the wild dog that breaks into the house, I guess.
So remember,
they leave the door open,
which I thought was really strange. They just left the door wide open.
Yeah,
I never understood why they did that.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
especially with a wild dog out there. Again, unfilmable. I don't know. Okay, so but one of the more horrific things that happens in this film, and there's some definitely spooky things that are in there. Specifically, the Moonlight Man. Right?
Well, the first time he shows
Very
up,
spooky.
he's in that dark corner.
Oh, it's not just that; it's the licking of the feet or whatever.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
some crazy stuff. But the most horrific thing is her sliding her hand out of a pair of handcuffs, and the skin is coming off, and it looks like a skeleton coming out of it. That was probably the most horrific thing that I saw in any of these movies.
So I'll tell you real quick. I watched this past week because I'd never seen it, and when I saw that scene, I instantly thought of you. I was like, Mulley may shut this movie off after
No,
this.
I've seen worse, but it was bad.
Yeah,
especially because you spent an hour or whatever connecting with this woman, like how's she going to do it? She can't pull her arm off, and then this is the solution. It's just, woof. It's not as bad as 127 hours.
Oh yeah.
Which I've never seen, but I know what happens.
Okay.
This was, I would figure, on that level. Not quite as dramatic, but I thought that's I thought that's where we were going.
Did you think she was at any point gonna drop that glass of water?
No.
Because I definitely thought at some point she was gonna, because she reached for it multiple times.
Oh,
before she had to break it to cut her wrist.
Right.
I thought for sure she was gonna drop it.
No,
that never happened.
I know. I mean, I was fearful for it, but I just didn't. No, I didn't, because I knew that she was losing feeling in her hand.
Yeah.
And that could have been an outcome of it, but I just never connected.
And using the receipt on the brand new nightgown as a straw.
Yeah.
That was really creative. This had to have not been easy to shoot.
Well, let me say this: the acting was superb. Yeah. I think they were great, especially her. Carla was the dual personality, and the person who comes out at the end. Although it was a little quick ending, the ending kind of swept up.
It did feel rushed.
Fast.
Yeah.
It was a little fast, and I wanted, I guess, spend a little bit more time with that. Ultimately, her hallucination, to me, showed what she could be. That was what maybe the person she should have been if she hadn't gone through all this trauma. Or whatever. This strong, assured woman, and but a great man, Bruce
Greenwood,
so good as the opposite of that, and at the end where he's waving goodbye to her.
Oh yeah,
it was sweet and creepy somehow the same breath, But okay, so the thing about the Moonlight Man, was he in the car with her? Did he survive that car crash?
That's a good question.
Or was she just knocking out to the point where she hallucinated him?
That's what I alluded to.
Right.
That's what I thought. That she hallucinated that.
And I think it confirms what he said to her when he grabbed her to make her crash. He called her the nickname that her father had called.
Yeah.
So I think that confirms it was a hallucination.
And then even at the end, when obviously in the courtroom, the way she walks in and walks right up to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was supposed to be real or in her head, because you can't do that in a courtroom.
You can't just walk up.
She would have been arrested or ushered out by one of the bailiffs. You
I
can't do
think
that.
maybe people were just in shock.
Maybe so.
I think there was a shock factor to
But
it.
even the Moonlight Man turns around. He's not. He's like, oh, she's here.
There was the fact that he was able to bust through his chains at that moment
Yeah.
when he sees her. Kind of crazy.
But that even kind of alludes to, again, me thinking it was all in her head as well.
Maybe. So guys, we're going deep into these movies. So if you haven't seen them, you're getting spoiled like crazy. But also you're getting just an idea of the, I'm not saying torture, but that both Mike and Tanya have put me through to watch these movies.
No, so-
it was fine.
The other scene, which, if you look at it from a continuity standpoint,
Yeah,
the bench scene with her father, and then
Yes.
the next scene would be them in her bedroom where he's manipulating her into saying,
Yeah.
making sure she doesn't tell.
right.
That was just sick. The stuff he was
I
saying.
think it was just apropos for Stephen King works. It just felt like that's a very Stephen King.
I just have never seen anything like that in his movies, though. It was just so off-putting.
It is. I think that's him. Like I think that's his style. Like it is. Everything's a little sideways. You
Yeah.
know, it just felt sideways. It felt like something we shouldn't be seeing. Felt definitely
Yes.
something he should not be doing.
Right.
But we know has probably happened and has been happened before, and this is how. I don't want a blueprint of how that works in
Yeah.
my mind, but he reveals things like that. I think it's subtle and it's subtle horror.
I don't know if I could ever watch E.T. again. I'll be honest with you.
With Harry Thomas,
But yeah, man, that was just...
I disconnect his older self with the young so much. But again, he's an actor, so,
Right,
But
right.
yeah, we as you know, we despise people who do those kind of things. So it's easy to connect him with that. But I understand it's just a job, so acting role. All right.
So I guess it's safe to say again, much like The Purge, one and
Oh
done.
no, I'm never watching any of these again.
Oh,
wait,
okay.
actually, there's one I might watch. There's
All right.
one I might watch again.
All
Actually.
right, okay.
Okay. And I'll reveal that. All right. So Gerald's Game overall, okay. Good acting performances. Not an enjoyable experience. That's part of it. You know, so one of the main reasons I go to see a movie is to enjoy it.
Yeah, it's
That's
different
my
for you.
purpose.
Yeah.
All right, quickly, because I feel like we went so long on those two. You made me watch The Bay
Yes,
from
sir.
2012.
Let's go.
This is the found footage film directed by Barry Levinson, which I was surprised it was a Barry Levinson
So was
film.
I. So was I.
Levinson did movies like Rain Man, Good Morning Vietnam, Wag the Dog. Horror's not his bag, baby. But The Bay is his bag. This is starring Kristen Connolly, Christopher Denham. I don't know who these people. I don't recognize them, and that's part of the point. Is that the movie's got unrecognizable people in it because they want you to believe this could be found footage film.
Yeah.
And this could be this could be real. That's basically what they're trying to sell you on. You know that it's not because it's a movie, but if you saw it under the right circumstances, like some people thought Blair Witch was real. It definitely left a cultural impact in film, and it created this old craze, which I kind of felt like is died out now. I don't think there's
They're still making them. They're just not near as popular as they used to be.
Yeah.
'Cause it was more like a cinematic fad. It's not like
It was a
used to be.
fad. It was like 3D glasses, right? It's just a
Exactly.
fad. Well, The Bay, I remember hearing about this. I didn't know what it was about. I got it confused with this movie called The Cove, which is a dolphin documentary. So The Bay and The Cove always kind of mix.
It is not
After
the same.
watching it, it is not even close to being the same. This is craziness right here. If, you know, this had very COVID vibes for me.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was made in 2012, so it was made way before the pandemic. But it had certain pandemic feeling to
They
it.
did.
And, you know, to find out the culprit in this movie, spoiler again, is basically our abuse of the environment causing, I forget what they were called, osteopods, I believe is what
Yes.
they were calling them, to mutate and to jump from fish to human. And basically they would put a parasite in you to grow more of them, and then they come out of you and eat you from inside. So, but that takes a while to figure out. But people just start presenting with a rash, and it's a pretty gnarly looking rash too. So the special effects were really good in this
Yeah,
movie.
they were.
Like, it made you feel like, ugh. And it's all found footage film, so it's filmed from all the different kinds of perspective. A young, you know, it started in basically the main character of the movie, which I'm assuming is Christian Conley.
No, Christian Connolly is she's
Did.
the woman that's traveling to the town with her family to meet her grandparents.
Oh, okay, yeah, the one on the boat.
Yes.
Good night. I didn't even feel like she needs to even be listed.
Yeah,
on
I
this.
know. That was.
The main girl, whoever she is.
You're talking about the news reporter.
The news reporter.
Yeah.
They did a really good job. They introduced her as an older version of herself, like slightly older, more frazzled version of herself. And then when they show her, they cut her hair and they make her look really young. It feels like there's been a lot of time between the two, like a few years almost.
Yeah.
Like they did a real good job of aging her up or aging her down, one of the two, to make her look really young as like a young fledgling reporter that's just covering a parade, a celebration in this 4th of July celebration in this where is it located? It's Maryland. There's a small Maryland town, and she's just kind of just being the new reporter on the scene, just trying to get special interest stories and going around, and then she falls this amazing story falls into her lap about all these people getting infected, and they don't know what this rash is, and it starts to spread among people, and it starts killing people, and then then they start to get the CDC involved and the hospital involved, and they don't know what to do. They're amputating things off, and they slowly reveal what the quote unquote monster is, but you don't really think it's a monster at first. It's just some kind of virus. But they show the story of the researchers who were killed a few weeks earlier that had discovered what the issue was, but were never able to, on one of their expeditions to go and find out what this predatory species is. They get killed by it, and they think it's bull sharks that do it, and they chalk it up to that, and when it could have prevented a lot more deaths. And I think the main thrust of the entire story of the movie of the Bay is simply like this is something that potentially could really happen that most people they would not hear about because it would get covered up, and then obviously the bigger underlying storyline is the way that we treat the environment. I think that was clear with the chicken poop. That was the antibiotics we give to our chickens, and then they poop, and then it went to the water, and those antibiotics then go into these isopods, and then they do what they do. So ultimately, though, all of these films have a different level of spooky or scary, and this one is just the realism of it is the spookiness, that and the gore, the rashes, the isopods themselves coming out of people, and so it is definitely. There's this monster movie aspect to it, and it's gory, and it's, if you're sensitive to rashes, don't watch this movie. There's a lot of rashes.
So this one feels the most horror out of the 5 to you? Well, we still have 2 left.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think, this one made me feel the most creepy, especially the couple that comes on shore looking for their parents.
Yeah.
The creepiest aspect of this movie, though, is not even a visual. It's the yelling or the moaning people hear. They don't understand where it's coming from or what it is. And it ends up just being people with their tongues missing. That is crazy. Walking through a city full of people on the ground that are obviously gone through some kind of looks like a pandemic, honestly. And then walking through the city where it's just like the lights are on and this is 4th of July. It should be a huge celebration, and there's just dead people everywhere. And you're having to walk through it with a baby. It's crazy.
Yeah. There's something ominous about that whole ending scene with that family. Like, I've been outside. My favorite time of day is late at night when, everything is still. But if you're just outside and you're in, a metropolis, like I live in Dallas, and you're outside and it's 2 or 3 in the morning, mostly everybody's asleep. The lights are off. There's a few lights on, for traffic and things like that, but there's just no sound. Maybe the wind, that's about it. And there's something ominous about it, too. And then you add in dead bodies, and you don't even know what's going on. You just got there. That's pretty terrifying.
All right, so that's the Bay.
So where's this rank out of the 3 you've done so far?
The spooky or the one I like the most?
Let's do the one you like the most at the end of this.
Okay. Spookiness is at the top.
Okay.
I think it's more horrific than the others, mainly due to the realism. The fact that it's a found footage film, so it wants to fake you into thinking it's real, and so it gives it a real feeling to it, like it was taken by somebody with a video camera or their phone. So it has that feel to it, and the special effects, specifically the rashes and all that, are top notch. Right, they make it. It looks really real, and the moaning. Oh gosh, the moaning in the dark is. Ooh.
I'm having so much fun listening to this.
All right, so Mulley's horrific list continues with number 4
It's a great
out of 5. Identity from 2003. This one stars John Cusack, Ray Liotta, Amanda Peet, Alfred Molina's in this, and a favorite of mine, Pruitt Taylor Vince. I met Pruitt at a convention once, and he was the sweetest man. He's in one of my favorite television shows of all time, The Mentalist. He came on as a recurring character for a couple of seasons, and I got to ask him questions about The Mentalist. He kind of lit up when I did, so he really liked that and enjoyed that experience. And then I got to talk to him afterwards and could take a picture with him, got his autograph, that kind of thing. I really enjoyed speaking with him. It was the funnest part of my con experience for that one time that I went. And so I've followed him ever since. So I was glad to see him in this film. I didn't know he was in it. And he plays a really pivotal part in this film.
He does.
And he's really good. So I have to see him. This is actually surprisingly directed by James Mangold, who did Ford versus Ferrari, Walk the Line, Logan. Like, he's done some big movies.
He did the Wolverine, too, the one before Logan. He did both of those.
Oh, that's right. This one grossed nearly $100 million, $90 million. And the idea behind it is 10 strangers are stranded at a desolate motel during a storm, only to discover they are being hunted by a killer.
Was this your first time seeing this for this episode?
I don't know. That's the thing. I thought I recognized it, but the ending made me question whether I did or not. Because I thought it was something other than... So maybe I've just seen films that have been similar.
Yeah.
And then this, I felt like maybe I'd seen it. Honestly, I think I kind of wished I had seen it before. This is. I like this movie.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm gonna spoil it.
It's really good.
I really like this movie. It has a very good twist in it, and I like to go actually watch it again so I could watch it with the twist revealed for me. Basically, it is what it said it is here. It's like the intertwining or intersection of a bunch of strangers meeting at this hotel, and then one by one, motel really. And one by one, they start getting murdered off. And,
there's a countdown because each murder body has a key, and it starts with 10, it goes all the way down to 1.
And every body has a key on it that has a descending number on it. So you know that there's somebody at the heart of doing it. And it's a matter of, out of these 10 people, who's doing it.
Right.
One of these people is doing it, but which one? And ultimately, I don't want to actually reveal this one because I think it's worth the watch.
I do too.
So I'm not going to reveal what the ending is, but it has an M. Night Shyamalan type feel. And it's really well made. It's well acted. It looks great. Like, when you go back and you look at this, just from the aspect of rainy nights and the motel lighting and the motel signage, it has a really great feel of dinginess, but also what you would expect. And somehow they got it to the rain to look really good.
It looked really good. I was very impressed.
Everything looks clear in the night, which is it's difficult to do.
Yeah.
Like, it's just cinematically, it looks really good.
And we got to see different parts of a motel you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah.
Like, we got to see the washateria area. They have the washer and dryers.
Yeah.
We got to see, I think, one of the little, like, a tool shed room where they had different supplies. And they even mentioned, like, a diner, but it wasn't actually, like, on the premises. They mentioned it. We don't see it, but it was cool to watch it because when you think of motels, you're trying to get in, sleep for a few hours, hit the road again.
And they do a really good job of hiding the twist because there are interjection moments where this other storyline's happening to the side, but you think it has to do with one part of it, and it really has to do with another part.
Yeah.
So, so a really good movie, best movie on the list for me.
That one, I think that movie has the most rewatchability out of
Yeah.
the 5 for sure.
And there are horrific elements to it. I would not categorize this as a horror movie at all. This is a psychological thriller. This is way more of that.
Yeah,
The horrific elements came in the murders and
Right.
how they were done. That was more. It kind of, if you would consider Final Destination a horror movie,
which I do.
and this is more that vein of it. Like the deaths themselves is what make it horrible.
Yeah.
But the mystery overtakes that part of it, and then the twist makes it worth it at the end. And there's a little double little twist
There's
there
a double
too.
twist in this.
And I don't know if I like the second ending twist,
I was not a fan of it.
but I get it. Like I get it. Like it, yeah. Especially if it all takes place the way that we think. Maybe image doesn't necessarily dictate strength or ability because it's not what we think it is, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I'm going to say.
And then again, to your point, what you were saying earlier about rewatching it, knowing the twist. I watched it this past week, and I've seen this movie many times because it's just that good. But knowing the twist doesn't ruin the experience of watching it again.
Identity, best movie of the film. I really enjoyed it. I think I might have seen it before, but I'm glad that I rewatched it if I had seen it before because I'd forgotten all about that twist, and that was good. I got a lot of enjoyment out of that. So that's a good one, man. That was a good one. So thank you, Tanya, on that one. Last one of my list was this is a curveball by you, and you gave me like 15 to choose from, and this was just one of them. It was on Netflix. It made it easy. I believe it also is a Netflix original,
It is.
but it is a French film.
Yeah.
And it was dubbed. And honestly, I had this on while I was doing something else, so it actually worked because I wasn't able to. I didn't know it was dubbed for a while because I wasn't really watching her lips as closely. But then I started seeing that they were out of sync, and I was glad I was doing something else because that would bother me. I would rather watch it in its original language with subtitles than to have to.
So
watch some
what
of
would
the
happen if
dubs.
you put your subtitles to French? Would that change anything? I've never done that before, but
What do you mean?
So it's dubbed over.
It's dubbed with English. Yes.
So if you were to add French subtitles,
Then it would just be French. I wouldn't be able to read or understand.
oh, you're right. My bad. I'm tripping.
But no, what I would do, I would just switch it to its original language, French, and then I'd add English subtitles, and I would
Okay.
just read the subtitles, because then I could see it would be her real voice and her real words, even though it's French and I don't understand.
Did you
it.
recognize her? You know what?
I did. No, I
I think
did
her
not
name is
recognize
Melanie Laurent, but
her. Yeah, her name. Yeah, Melanie Laurent. You're right, Melanie.
but she was in she was the French police officer in Now You See Me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I saw that on her credit list. I was like,
Okay,
I didn't
yeah.
recognize her. This movie is called Oxygen from 2021.
So this is the only one on the list I haven't seen. So I'm really interested to hear
Oh,
your
okay.
breakdown of this.
So this is directed by Alexandre Aja, who did The Hills Have Eyes. He did Piranha 3D.
That's a sick movie, by the way.
He did Crawl.
Which you said you've seen.
Yeah, the alligator.
The alligator movie, yeah.
Yeah, Piranha 3D, and then The Hills Have Eyes. So the idea behind this film is a woman wakes up in a cryogenic chamber with no memory how she got there and must find a way to survive before her oxygen runs out.
This is almost a better version of Passengers, which we discussed before.
Actually, I found it more like Buried Alive, the Ryan Reynolds
Oh,
film.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah. You know what's funny about that? Real quick, I have that DVD and bought it years ago. Never even opened the case.
Yeah.
But I heard it's really good. So
It's this is the same concept. She wakes up in a. This is again. This is just another level of horror or spook. This particular one is claustrophobia, which I don't have. So it didn't bug me much about it. I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't like to be locked in a coffin. This is basically what this is, right? But it doesn't bug me as bad. It's not a horrific thing for me.
okay.
So people who hate that or have claustrophobia, this might trigger you.
Okay.
Didn't trigger me at all. It was just the discovering of the mystery, and it was this is futuristic. So there's an AI in this chamber that she's able to talk to, and able to reach out to the outside world, make phone calls, look at Facebook, do things, like it has it has basically what on the lid of the coffin or the chamber is a screen, and she could basically research or call out.
Oh, okay.
Now they're having some issues, obviously, to help the story. So sometimes she can't get out, or it's that the network's down, or something like that. You know what I mean? But for the most part, she's never left alone. There's always an AI there with her to try to work her through what the whole MacGuffin of the movie is, which is her oxygen's running out. The film there's a pretty good twist about 3/4 of the way through. I don't know if you want me to give that away or not. I don't know if it matters much, but it is. I will say this: that it leans far more sci-fi than horror.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it's a huge, huge, huge sci-fi element.
Let me ask you this: Is it that she's a clone? Is she a clone?
Okay, so we're gonna go into spoilers.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. I gotta get.
That is not the sci-fi that I was referring for.
Oh, okay.
That is revealed at the very, very end that she is.
Oh, all right.
But it's not a clone in the traditional sense that you think of clones, in the fact that she is the head doctor researcher who is tasked with repopulating another planet.
Mm-hmm.
So she has cloned a lot of different a new population of people,
Okay.
and the person that wakes up in the pod is a clone of her.
Okay. Gotcha.
So and when they you find out that the chamber, the whole top of the chamber is or can be translucent. So at the end of the movie, when the bigger twist in the middle, about 3/4 of the way, is that she finally figures out how to get the chamber open so she can escape.
Mm-hmm.
And then she gets a desperate call, don't do it. And then there's a whole explanation not to do it. And then for proof not to do it, this person that she's on the phone with, she actually finds out later on it's her older self.
The real version.
The real version.
Yeah.
It's the fact because when they do this little test and they unlock centrifuge, they don't describe what that is. Suddenly everything in the pod goes weightless. And you find out that she's in space.
Oh.
And that's when the transparent lid goes transparent, and she's on the side of this huge space machine, like a shuttle, basically.
But she's on the exterior of this ship.
Yeah, all the pods are on the inside, but it's still exposed to space. It's like a cone ship.
Yeah.
And then all the pods are lined the inside of the cone, but they're all exposed to space.
Interesting. Okay.
Not supposed to wake up until they get. She wasn't supposed to wake up until they get to the new planet, which is like 30 years away or something like that. And then, but there was an asteroid or something that hit the ship, and it damaged a bunch of the pods.
So it's not just hers then?
No.
Okay.
But hers is still attached, but it's losing oxygen after the impact. It woke her up from her sleep, and then she's been trying to figure out how to get out of this, and she didn't know she was in space this whole time.
Okay,
That's
so
the twist.
does the film present her with a way to resolve this issue?
Yes.
It does? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I'll still watch it.
I think it's just, once you know that, it makes like the first hour some of the film kind of useless, because it's like she's just desperately trying to get out of this pod the entire time, talking to the police. Police are trying to find her. This pod's been out of commission for 3 years. We don't know why. We're almost there. Keep hanging on. The oxygen keeps going down, and it's just kind of all over.
So you've seen it. You've seen it. We just talked about it.
Yeah.
If I was to skip to about the last 30 or so minutes, would that be a good place to start without having to know anything else? Because like you just said, now that I know the twist, then
yeah. Okay. I think so.
All right.
Yeah, you could probably skip to then. Just everything that ever happens up to that point is just basically what you would do if you were in a situation and you had access to the police. You just try to call them, try to call your husband, try to get them to come unlock you and find you, and they can't find you. You can't get this thing to open up, and then finally you struggle through the entire movie to figure out the code to get it open, and you finally figure out the code, and you're just about to put it in, and they're like, if you open it up, somebody calls you, says, you open that, you're gonna die, and you're like, what? And the oxygen's going down to like 5 minutes, and it's like, she just thinks she's on the ground. She just thinks she's in, just some research or hospital or somewhere.
Yeah.
And the nurses can't hear her or whatever, and the oxygen's running out. So she just wants to get out to breathe. There's just no oxygen out there. So.
All right. Yeah, I'll watch the last half hour, and then I can see how it ends.
Yeah. So those are the 5 films. All right. So that transitions us to Mike's top 5 horror films, so we can complete this spooky season list and get it over with, so we can go back to our normal.
I can't wait to end this episode.
No, this one's for Tanya.
No, you crushed it, man. I was like,
okay,
there's nothing I can even add on. Really, like, if I didn't have my 5, I would be more than happy to end it there. But I'll give you my 5 real quick. In trying to make this list, because horror is my favorite genre. I say that I think every other episode. You know this, obviously.
You are a connoisseur.
So. I guess you could say so. Actually, I think in speaking to Tanya back and forth, she's probably a more seasoned horror film watcher than I am. Because she watches like the bad horror movies that are like, they're so bad they're good kind. Like, cheaply made. I think she sent me a trailer for some movie called The Night of the Killer Llamas or Yamas.
Okay.
And it sounds as bad as the title reads.
I think I actually have seen a trailer for this.
It's I think the thumbnail is a llama with red eyes.
Yeah.
So she sent that trailer to me. I watched. I say, this is one of those. It's so bad, it has to be good.
Yeah.
That's the kind of horror movie you get a group of friends together over at the house, watch and make fun of it, and you just have a blast.
That's it.
So yeah, I think she's more seasoned in that arena than I am. But I do have a list, actually 6. We discussed this during pre-pro. You said you would allow the extra.
Yes.
Initially, this started out with about 12, and I just kept trying to get to 5. I couldn't get to 5. Then I went to 8. Then I went down to 7. Then I went back up to 9. I kept adding and taking off.
This is your go-to genre.
It is. So, I feel like even though I have 6, I probably could give you another 5, but we're not doing that. These are the ones that I looked at and said, I can watch these over and over every year, especially during Halloween, and I'll still enjoy them.
Are this in any particular order?
No.
Okay.
No. Because if it was in any particular order, number 1 for me would always be Halloween. 1978, John Carpenter classic. But on this list, it's number 2. So, but since we're talking about it, we're here now. Let's just go right into it. So, 1978 classic. This, in my opinion, is what invented the slasher subgenre of horror. I mean, this is Michael Myers, the babysitter stalker. I think initially the title for this movie was The Babysitter Killer, and they went with Halloween, which to me is much more fitting because it speaks to the time of the year. Babysitter Killer could be any time of the year. It could be Christmas. It could be
That's true.
A random Tuesday, the 30th.
It also allows him to get away with what he's doing a bit, right? With wearing a mask out and looking menacing. I've never seen the movie.
I can't believe you've never seen this movie, though, honestly.
No. I mean, I don't.
So you have no desire to whatsoever?
Why?
Wow.
Tanya, why? Why? No, I don't have any desire, but I know enough about it.
You know enough about it.
But just give me a quick little synopsis of the idea behind the movie.
Yeah, so you got this little kid kills his sister when he's 6. We don't even know why.
I'm already out, but go ahead.
Okay, fine. Well, we don't know why. He gets locked up in a mental institution for the next 15 years. During those 15 years, he doesn't say a word. He's got this therapist that's been assigned to his case to try to work with him, played phenomenally by Donald Pleasance, rest in peace. He shows up in further entries in the franchise. One night, the day before Halloween, he escapes the mental institution, and there's all these different inmates out in the open. It's one of those dark and stormy night scenarios. And somehow Michael knows how to drive and commandeers the vehicle and drives off. And he heads straight back to his hometown. 15 years later, he's 21. And he's just kind of creepy for the first...
Wait, do we ever see him without the mask?
Slightly in the climax of the film, the third act.
Okay.
He attacks Laurie Strode's character, played by Jamie Lee Curtis.
But this whole time, in the beginning of this whole, you never see his face.
We see him in the beginning when after he's killed his sister. His parents come home and they take off his mask and he's dressed in a clown outfit, and it's just this little boy holding a knife. and the camera slowly pans back. So that's the only time you see his face.
Is this Wes Craven?
No, this is John Carpenter.
Oh, John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, yeah.
Oh, that's starting to make it. Yeah, The Thing.
The Thing.
It's starting to make
Yeah,
sense.
The Thing's also on this list. So there's a recurring theme here.
Yeah, Carpenter movies.
But Halloween is one of those movies that I always watched, and I always wished I had been old enough in 1978 to go see this in theaters. It's just for the love I have for this movie, because the first time I saw it, I was 12 years old. So I was young enough to still be impressionable, watching a movie that I probably shouldn't be seeing at this age.
How did you watch it?
It was on TV.
It's on TV.
This is back when they used to always play Halloween, well, they still do, but they play horror movies during the month of October on TV. So it was still the edited version, right? But that was the first time I saw it. But it's the idea of me as a 12-year-old watching this guy in a maintenance jumpsuit, boots, and a mask, and he's got this butcher knife, and first of all, he's just stalking people for the first 30, 45 minutes.
He didn't actually kill anybody.
No. Well, he kills a few people off screen. You don't see it.
Okay.
Like, to get the jumpsuit, he kills this maintenance guy.
I got you.
Yeah, and so, but he starts killing these babysitters towards the end of the movie. They're not even all babysitters. It's one babysitter and one of the babysitter's friends and her boyfriend. And then the final girl. This is when we first start hearing the phrase "the final girl," which is the survivor of these traumatic events. And in all these other horror films that come after, you have what's called the final girl. And so yeah, the initial idea is in Halloween 2, it's revealed that Laurie Strode and Michael Myers are brother and sister. And that's why he's been after her. It's really been about her the whole time.
You think that was something they changed just for the second film? Because he kills his sister, right? Did he not kill her, or that's a different sister?
As a different sister.
Hey.
So it's revealed Laurie was adopted.
Hey.
But this happened after Michael was already in the institution, so it's like, well, how would he even know about that? Mm-hmm. So there's just some weird continuity stuff going on.
It seems like it's only a matter of time before she becomes the killer.
Well, which would have been cool. they tried to tease that with at the ending of Halloween H2O.
Okay.
That she chops off Michael's head with an axe. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yeah, in a confrontation at the end of that movie. And they kind of allude to, well, maybe she's now going to be the killer.
You know, my list is looking a lot better after hearing this.
But yeah, no, just to wrap, I mean, Halloween, I could talk about this movie forever. Low budget, high returns. Nobody has seen anything like it prior. I think the biggest horror film before that would have been, I guess, Psycho, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But this was like the biggest horror film that... Exorcist as well was another one. And I almost had that on the list, but I haven't brought myself to watch it in the last 10 years because I've been afraid. So I don't have a good point of reference, so I couldn't put it on the list. Right. But Halloween for me, actually recently, last October, it was in theaters. I did go see it. So I finally got my in-theater Halloween experience, and it was everything I thought it could be.
All right. Did you go by yourself?
Yes, I did. And I was a little upset and sad because the people in the theater were there in groups. They had groups of friends go with them. And this is a movie you want to experience with a group of friends.
You need that emotional support in one of those movies.
I did. But I mean, I'm such a huge fan of this franchise. I have all of the Michael Myers films except for the last 3 that were like reboot or requels is what they call them now. I have all the ones before that though on DVD. But this one by far is the best one. It sets the standard.
So that was your number 2. What was your number 1?
The Conjuring.
Oh, that fairly recent, I guess, compared to
2013.
Oh, okay, not that recent.
So yeah, no, 11 years now.
Right.
And it's also spawned its own franchise, and it's also a part of the what I call the James Wan Cinema. They actually call it the Conjuring universe, cinematic universe.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so they have the Annabelle movies that are also in there. They have the Nun 1 and 2 is also now a part of that umbrella. And they're actually working on the 4th and final installment of the actual Conjuring movies. And all 4 movies have starred Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as real-life demonologists, paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. There's a lot of like horror lore and about them in the house and the things that they kept in that house that they had to keep hidden, that are cursed objects they call them. But this particular movie, it has so many different layers to it, which is surprising because most horror films, it's pretty straightforward. There's something evil out there killing people. We got to stop it. How do we figure that out? How do we do that? But this one, it's about 2 real people, and they investigate these paranormal instances, and they go to people's houses to do their investigation, and really they're trying to debunk but they're also looking if there's something that is real, then they try to go in there and how can they vanquish it. Ed Warren is not an actual priest. He's just an investigator, and he's got knowledge with the paranormal. Lorraine, she has like a kind of like psychic powers. She can sense and she can see things in like in the other realm. And so they had this family that starts to, realize this house that we just bought. It's always a family that moves into a new house that's haunted.
It is.
Always.
Of course it is.
It always starts off nice and idyllic, and we have so much space in this house, and I have my own.
That's
room
such a great
now.
deal.
That's such a great deal. It's always a great deal.
Yeah,
Always.
of course it
If
is.
it's a great deal, do not get that house. Let me tell you. So yeah, they get in this house, and it's nice to see the mother and father of this family actually get along. And it's not like this guy's always gone, and it's up to the mother to kind of protect the children. He's there throughout as well. Played by Ron Livingston from Office Space.
Yeah.
And I love him as an actor. And so they start to realize there's some strange things happening in the house, noises, things being moved. And so the mother of the family goes to one of Ed and Lorraine's like public events where they speak and talk about possession and things of that nature. And so they're like, hey, can you come to our house because we think something's going on. So they go out there and they check it out. Sure enough, this witch killed her kids in this house. And
We're leaving.
Yeah.
We're moving.
Well, the witch is doing this as a sacrifice because of the demons she serves. Now, this is all supposed to be real. Substantiated evidence has been looked at. This is all supposed to be real. And to me, some of the most scariest horror films are the ones that deal with demonic possession.
Yeah.
Because I believe in that. And so it all culminates in, of course, an exorcism, because how else would it end, right? But there's so many spooky things that happen throughout, during the day and at night. And the mother gets possessed. She almost ends up killing one of the daughters. Some crazy stuff happens to Ed and Lorraine in this movie. Like, it's just really good. There's so many layers to it. There's the family element. There's both families, the Warrens and the family that live in the house, and then the paranormal stuff. It's a great all-around movie. It's James Wan. He shot this movie really well. Some really cool cinematic shots that he uses and tricks that he uses. Lighting is done really well.
And he did one of the fantastic. Fast and Furious.
He did Furious 7, which was Paul Walker's last movie. He shot that.
And then is that the one where they had to bring in the brothers?
Yes.
Okay, and then he did Aquaman.
He did
well.
Aquaman, and he's done, I think, one of the Annabelle films.
Okay.
So he's the one that's he started this whole universe, but he's since kind of relegated duties to directors to do the other movies. So hopefully he's coming back, I think, for this last one, because anything he touches in this universe, these are the best ones. But that's The Conjuring.
Okay.
So that's number 2.
All right, number 2. Two down.
You have
Way
any
to
questions?
go.
I know you want to see
I
that
don't
one.
have any questions at all. I got off light, apparently.
This is going to be pretty much, I guess, a one-sided. You're not going to...
Yeah. I'm not going to have much to input on it. It'll be like, wow. I'm going to say, wow.
All right, number 3 for me, the next one, we discussed this earlier in your discussion and all the times on the podcast. This is the Blair Witch Project.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We talked about found footage horror. This essentially kicked off the found footage fandom. And this is, to me, it's still one of the most effective, even knowing now that it's not real. I just remember how effective it was in 1999 because there really was no internet. You can't make a movie like this today because there's social media, the internet. That's basically...
Yeah,
we're all trying to spoil movies like this.
like found footage is what we do now in real life. Like I was thinking about that, like during a recent Trump assassination attempt. Like I didn't go to the news, traditional news, to go and look. Like my almost instant is to go to social media. Because that's where I'm gonna get the found footage.
That's true.
You know,
You're
I'm gonna get the footage of the crowd seeing the sniper on the roof and trying to tell police. That's where I'm gonna get that. Or the footage of him actually, getting shot actually in the ear. They're not going to show that on traditional news, and they're not as fast.
That's true.
So if it happens in an instant, it's within a minute of it happening, it's going to be on social media to watch, and you can see the raw, uncut footage from the witnesses themselves.
It's amazing to see how many different angles of these events pop up on social media. Do you remember the Montgomery brawl that happened last year?
No.
I think it was this.
Oh wait, yes, on the water.
Yeah, And then
And so many memes come from that
so many
quickly.
There was some guy on YouTube. He made a rap song about it, and it's hilarious. I'll have to send it to you later on. But
Dude,
it's
I
funny.
saw. I think almost after it happened, like so quick, like the next day, there was a shirt with a guy with a lawn chair in his hand.
Yes.
Like people were selling those shirts
For a little while, that was like so the Black Power fist. For a little while, that had replaced the
Oh,
Black
and the
Power.
best one that I ever saw was the the Doctor Strange ring or the portals that come in.
Yeah,
And then his friends come in through the portals. They special effected up, and it's just like all of a sudden these guys come out. It's so great.
that is hilarious. No, I saw a meme where it was a black guy with a full chair like to his clipped to his belt loop.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right.
He's like the new weapon of choice.
Yeah, the new weapon of choice. That's right.
Oh man, but yeah, so the Blair Witch. This is found footage, and it was marketed as real life.
Right. So basically, these four,
It's
friends, three friends go out to the woods to.
Well, they're not friends. They had never met.
Here we go. Go ahead and give me the synopsis.
So-
I don't know, obviously.
So the lead, I guess, of this trio, her name is Heather, and she's a film major, and she wants to shoot a documentary, and I think she gets wind of this story of this mythological entity, the Blair Witch, in the woods in Burkittsville, Maryland. It's weird because Maryland's where the Bay was, right? So maybe stay away from Maryland.
Maryland is, yeah.
So no woods and no water in Maryland. You should be safe.
And no houses that are too cheap.
Definitely not. Yeah, if it's
We're
steel,
learning lessons here. These are good life lessons.
this is why you should watch horror films because you can learn a lot about how to save your life one
No,
day.
I'm good. Good. Only if Tanya goes with me.
All right, and she
Hold
might-
my hand
all
to
right,
it.
all right. So
No, I'm still not doing it. Sorry, Tanya.
you know what? Well, maybe we could get her on an episode. She's gonna be here to help out with my film. Maybe that's Sunday the 17th.
Maybe she can come in for me, and y'all can go all all to town with the horror stuff.
This is not Mike and Tony. This is Mike and Mulley. Anyway, so Heather is this film major. She wants to put a documentary together about the Blair Witch, and she basically recruits these two other guys, and they all kind of meet up, and it just seems natural and realistic. And then you realize, well, there wasn't an actual official script. It was just like plot points that the writer director would give the actors, and they got to come up with their own dialogue.
So it feels natural.
It feels natural. It feels real.
That's why people were so faked out.
Right, and I think even in the intro, it starts off with like a warning of this is the property of Burkittsville PD or something like that, and it also ends that way. And the funny thing about this is it's a horror film, it's a classic, but what makes it work is you don't ever see a witch in this movie. Obviously, they're out there to capture the witch, and they talk to some of the locals about the stories of the witch and this and that, but how she came to be. But once they actually get out in the woods and things start to happen, you don't ever see the witch. You kind of hear things, and that's actually the crew messing with the actors because they didn't tell the crew they were going to do these things, or the cats are going to do these things. So it just adds to the realism because the fear on their face is real. But you never see a witch, and by the end of it,
What you see? I thought you saw a hand or something. Nothing.
you never see a hint. You literally never see anything. You don't see even a hint that this is anything
So
out
there
there.
are no special effects in this movie outside of sound effects.
That's it, and it's all natural. There's no score, there's no soundtrack, and it's shot they shoot in black and white during the
night scenes?
the documentary sections because
documentaries.
when Heather's filming, she chooses to shoot it in black and white because she's trying to make it cinematic. She's a documentarian. That's what they do. Actually, Tanya's a documentarian, so she knows a lot about that as well. But
Is it bloody?
no,
Yeah.
at one point they do find one of the guys goes missing in the middle of the night, and they wake up and the guy's gone. And they are searching for him, and they see his belongings, but not him. Then they come across like a little trail of blood on some leaves or whatever, and they come across the guy's ear. That's about as gory as the movie gets, and you really can't even make it out until they
It's
get
really
closer.
all psychological.
It's all psychological.
Wow.
All psychological, but it's really effective, and I love psychological
Super effective,
horror.
apparently.
That's actually one of the reasons why I was picking those movies for you, and I'm glad you chose them because Gerald's Game is psychological. Identity is psychological.
Yeah.
So even The Purge to some degree is psychological because where else do you think you're the most safe? You think it's at home, but
Right.
you have these people that are trying to get in your house. But to me, this movie is always going to work, even knowing the twist. Like if we talk about identity, we know the twist, but it still has replay value. The Blair Witch Project, knowing it's not real, it still has replay value because of the cinematic elements to it, because it is shot documentary style. The way they switch from color to black and white when they're shifting from the story they're telling to the real story. Even the ending is it's terrifying because the last two characters of the three end up in this house because they think they hear the third guy screaming for help, and the ending they're searching up and down this house. The whole thing is black and white at this point, and it's just terrifying. It's a house in the middle of the woods. They actually had to tear that house down in real life because people were going there just to snap pictures and really hopefully thought they were going to see a real witch in real life. So it just goes to show the power of viral marketing, especially before the power of social media was out there.
Yeah. All right, Blair Witch.
So not gonna watch that one either, huh?
Oh, yeah. Actually, now that it makes me a little bit more intrigued, knowing that there aren't really traditional horror elements to it.
Yeah.
And it's all in the mind. That makes it a little bit more interesting.
Well, and for me, I talked about this before too. I'm not a camper. I don't like to go out in the middle of the woods.
I'm either.
Because I think there's always an element of something out there that could be watching you, but you never see it. And that's the feeling you get when you watch this movie. It's the feeling of something could be out there. It's like you said, the power of the mind.
See, I'm not bothered by that as much because I go down the rabbit hole with the Bigfoot stuff. So I'm kind of like, I'd like to see one.
You would like to see one, but you don't. Wow, that's crazy. Okay.
I don't know. I bet I probably would feel different. I was by myself in the woods with a potential 9-foot creature or something.
Yeah.
I'd probably feel different.
Okay, fair enough. Well, so that's the Blair Witch. That's the third one on my list of the 6.
Number 4.
So I talked about this when I talked about Halloween because that was John Carpenter.
That's right.
This is also John Carpenter. This is The Thing.
The Thing.
This is Kurt Russell and a bunch of other guys that don't really act anymore, but you would know some of the faces if you've seen the movie.
You'd be surprised that I have seen the movie.
No, actually not, because you dig deep into your 80s bag on a lot of these lists. So I'm actually not surprised you know some of these guys.
Yeah, I watched.
Is it the Quaker Oats guy in this movie? I think he is.
The Quaker Oats guy?
Yeah, he did the Quaker Oats commercials. He was in The Firm with Tom Cruise and Gene Hackman.
Oh my gosh.
I can't think of his name now, but actually I do recognize him. He also was in Cocoon, I believe. I know you said Cocoon.
So, yeah, Cocoon I definitely have seen.
Yeah.
That's more down my alley. Older people in the pool that make them feel young. Yeah, that's my movie. Yeah, so The Thing. So this is about a shape-shifting alien.
Yes, out in the Arctic. You've got this is actually
And in the Arctic is a big part of it.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So you got this research crew out there drilling to the ice, and they're all researchers. They're all scientists. Mm-hmm. And the opening shot of this film is a dog running out in this just vast white land. It's like a whole new planet, like Hoth, basically from Star Wars.
It does look.
And these guys in a helicopter, I think they're Norwegian. They're trying to shoot this dog. And I've watched a lot of reactions of this movie, and everybody's like, "Don't kill the dog. What did the dog do?"
Yeah.
And then but as you watch the film, you realize this dog, spoiler alert, guys, sorry, is actually already infected. Is the alien?
It is the alien.
The alien's taken over the dog.
Right. The previous settlement attempted to kill the alien.
Yeah.
By napalming the whole place.
Yeah. So you know that. How do you know that?
I've seen the movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
but it's been a while.
So a few years back, they made a prequel that actually leads up to the dog running in the ice at the beginning of this movie, and that stars Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which is a decent prequel. It explains a little more, but if you watch the thing by itself, you don't really need an explanation.
I've never seen that, but they just explain that in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah.
So this alien is escaping from a situation where they tried to kill it all.
Yeah. And it
got away.
It got away. And this whole movie basically plays on your fears of, well, can I trust what my eyes see?
Yes.
Because it can replicate a person and become that person.
That's right.
And it has the same feelings and emotions, but it doesn't like fire. Because once we get the flamethrower, gets broken out, and that's kind of how they decide to start to fight this thing. And that's how they actually test to see who is who. They take blood samples from each person, and they
light it up.
Yep, they light it up, and if it reacts a certain way, they know you're probably the alien or not. And they do a nice little bait and switch multiple times because you have these guys like, we need to spread out, which is another thing you don't do.
Never did it.
You never do it.
Never did.
So really, these horror films are like
they make bad decisions.
Yeah, right. They do bad decisions.
I mean, the Purge, a perfect example. Terrible decisions by the family. Like, I'm just mind-boggling decisions.
Yes, so these guys split up, and so then of course once they all come back together, obviously one of these guys is the Thing.
Yeah.
And what I loved about this movie is when they revealed the different iterations of the actual alien, it's hideous.
Yeah,
like
it
it's
is.
it's the thing the nightmares are made of.
It
It
is.
was
It's rough.
1982, so this is 4 years after the first Halloween. Actually, the same year as Halloween 2 comes out, but they're using all practical effects. There was no such thing as VFX back then. No CGI.
They were
back
just
then.
really rough.
They were.
That's just like last Starfighter era of special effects.
Yeah, pretty much. But it looks so much more terrifying to me.
Yeah.
Because they made it practical.
I did.
And you have like a hybrid dog alien monster. You have a hybrid human alien monster. And then one of the greatest debates online to this day is at the very end. Is McCready the Thing or is Childs the Thing?
Right.
We don't know. And I've even seen people break it down to where I think the way they breathe. Oh, this guy, you see his air breathes. It's so cold out. When he speaks, you don't see any air. But then people will say, oh, that's just the lighting because he's facing a different direction. So there's still a debate to this day. This is over 40 years now are they, aren't they? So it's cool that a movie can live on in that way through multi-generations, through the rise of social media. Or now that's the ultimate debate round table. You want to have a debate, you jump on social media.
Yeah.
So
That's it now.
it's a classic. And when this movie is on, I watch it. When I catch it on streaming, I watch it. It's a classic. And I love Kurt Russell. Who doesn't love Kurt Russell?
Oh, yeah, Kurt Russell was great in that movie.
He is.
All right, number 5.
All right, number 5 is, so you previously said you are not claustrophobic.
No.
I don't know if I am, but there are certain situations in this next movie these characters find themselves in you couldn't pay me to be in. This movie is called The Descent. Have you heard of this movie?
Yes. Yes.
So it's very popular in the horror community. It's about a group of women. They get together every year. They kind of go out to this cabin. And it's like a girls' trip. And they like to do what I guess are called extreme sports, like, whitewater rafting, rock climbing, that kind of thing. Well, this year they get together, and the year prior, our lead, Sarah, she loses her husband in a car accident. Mm-hmm. They're all in the car, but only he dies. I think the child dies. She had a kid as well. But so the next year they get the girls together. There's this one girl. Her name is Juno. She spearheads all these trips, and she's like the extreme sports junkie. She likes the adrenaline rush. So they decide to go. I guess is it spelunking if you go underground?
Spelunking.
So, yes, I didn't know that was a real thing because when they mentioned it in Batman Begins, I was like, that's
spelunking. That's where I was. I'd heard it before, but that's where it cements in my head.
Yeah, so it's cave diving basically. Yeah. And so they decide, okay, they get to this cabin, and she's always the one that tells them, this is what we're doing this time. So they never know until they get there. They just know what equipment to bring, so, some of it. So they start going down to this cave, and they're exploring. They think it's going to be this great adventure, and it'll bring us closer together, especially after Sarah lost her husband the year before.
Right.
And it's revealed that Juno and Sarah's husband were having an affair. Sarah doesn't know this. It's a great subplot. Let's just put that to the side for right now, though, because we're about to enter, some dangerous areas of this cave. One of the characters, as they're crawling through, navigating. I have a friend who used to do this. It's very bizarre to me. So what happens is you have to figure your way out. There is no map. It's like these unmapped pathways, and you have to go deeper to get out, which is strange.
Mm-hmm.
So they come across this section of the cave where it's really just big enough for their body. Like, if you inhale too much, you probably can't fit through this hole.
Wow.
And they're on all fours. They have to crawl through this thing. You can't stand up to your full height. And the first 3 or 4 get through. One of them starts to get stuck, and she starts to panic. And when she starts to panic, I start to panic. Because I can imagine what that must feel like to be stuck in an unknown part of the world. Nobody knows you're there except for the people you're with. And the only way to get through is you basically just have to figure it out. You have to calm yourself down and maneuver your body in a way where you can twist through. And eventually she gets through that. And as they continue to go deeper, they start to see bones, like human bones in there, like bigger than animals. And so they're lighting flares to see what the next direction to go is. And when they light one of the flares, there's a monster behind this one woman. And it looks like a monster elf has these weird like ears and blacked out eyes.
Is it large? Or
No,
is it just elf size?
it's
Small.
I would say like maybe adolescent size, but
Okay.
it's up on a rock. So the camera shot we get is straight ahead of one of the characters. She lights the flare, and it's behind her, like, perched up behind her. And then they don't see the monsters. The monsters can see them. Eventually, it does get revealed that there's more than one monster. There's a bunch of them all through these caves, this area.
There's no forewarning or foreshadowing that this cave is full of these things?
Only the bones.
Just the bones.
But they're human bones, obviously, because they're bigger than animal sized
Right.
bones.
Mhm.
And so then it becomes a question of, well, can we get out of here? And that's when Juno reveals, oh, this is an unmarked cave. No one's ever gone through here before. And then of course, they get all pissed off. Why'd you bring us down here? And she said, well, I thought it would be cool for us to be the ones to discover it first.
Oh,
That's her thing. So that's the kind of friend you don't want to have in the squad.
Yeah, that's right.
Because she's going to get you killed every
That's
time.
right.
So shortly after that,
I'm feeling Tanya is one of those
oh my
kind of people.
You love taking shots at the fans. You can't do that.
I'm just saying, it just feels like that maybe she would be the one friend, you know what I mean? To take you down to the undiscovered part of the cave. That's all I'm saying.
She might.
You might be.
It'll be a great adventure, Mike. Just come on.
Yeah, there you go.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, we've seen this in movies before. We can do this.
So eventually, yeah, these monsters attack, and then you start to realize they are blind. That's why their eyes are blacked out.
Oh, okay.
And so then they track you down by sound.
Or scent.
Or, no, not scent. I see you said the descent. No.
No? Okay.
It's just sound. So how do you get past these monsters that can track you by sound when you're in this cave? How do you not make noise in a cave? They come across these ponds of water. We find out there's actually pools of blood.
Yow.
Oh, but the crescendo of the film is it becomes all out war. These women against these monsters because they have this equipment, right? These pickaxes and these ropes and these levers and locks and things, and they use those to their advantage to start just, all out assault on these monsters. And it gets very, very bloody, very gory. I saw this with a friend of mine in the theater, and I will never forget the sound that was made when this one character was puncturing the eyes of this one monster. She probably did this for a minute straight. So
The useless eyes of this
I guess it was still painful because she
Yeah,
killed
I
it this
guess so,
way.
yeah.
So it wasn't just that it was the visual, it was the sound it made. It was like crunching. The deeper she went in, like I don't know how long her fingers or thumbs were,
And
but
how is this lit? Is it like really dark?
it is really dark.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
really-
a lot of it is just sound.
yeah, but you can still see what's happening when the camera actually gets to that part of
Okay.
the yeah. But there's like all the girls at one point are in the same room with all the monsters and they're all fighting, and one of the girls has the monster pinned down, thumbs in the eyes, and keeps pushing. Then they cut away to some other girls fighting other monsters. They cut back to this girl eventually. She's still going. And you start to see like the pus flow out of the eye sockets, and you can hear the crunching, and she kills the monster. And then she screams like a monster. It's one of those like, I'm the monster now. You should be afraid of me. I'm the captain now. Kind of like that. So it eventually gets revealed to Sarah that Juno was sleeping with her husband. And to retaliate, this is crazy. 'Cause I feel like this is only what women would do in a moment like this. To retaliate, Sarah stabbed Juno in the leg with her pickaxe, basically leaving Juno to die in this cave with the monsters. Sarah escapes, and she gets away. And that's how it ends.
And Juno does not.
She does not.
Presumably.
There's a sequel, and I won't spoil it.
The
Actually, I will spoil it.
Juno returns.
Well, that's a great name. So Sarah gets, this is a brief overview real quick.
Yeah.
Sarah goes to the local police station. They go back out there because she tells them what happened. And somehow Juno's down there. She's like running things down there. And so then her and Sarah have a fight. It's ridiculous. This movie didn't need
Tanya
to
thing going on right there, right?
She's going to make you hate her.
Yeah, she's right.
All right, so that was The Descent.
Descent, yes.
And the last one on my list is, I'm actually going to pull an audible at the line of scrimmage here.
Uh-oh.
What I had on here, I think it should be there, but I'm going to remove it.
Go ahead and mention it.
Final Destination.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I can't be behind a log truck without ever thinking about that movie now.
That's what everybody says. I see that meme posted over and over again on social media.
That's true. It's true.
And to the point where, yeah, even to this day, like when I'm driving 18-wheeler with logs, it actually happened to me a few weeks ago. Got really nervous. So I just sped up. Let me get past it real quick. Because I don't know how strong those chains are. But the first one, that happened in the second one. The first one to me is a classic because I remember it comes out spring break 2000, and me and my cousin and some of my cousin's friends, there's a group of us, guys and girls, we went to the villages for the weekend, and we were like, hey, let's go into town and watch a movie. Sure enough, this movie had just come out, so we all watched it, and it was fun, but it's also terrifying because the heart of it, the thing is, you can't escape death. If death really wants you and you're on death's list, there's nowhere you can go. There's no place is safe. And but by the end of it, we're leaving the theater, getting in our cars, and we're all like, "Hey man, watch out! That's coming for you next, man." We're like,
Oh,
we're all wishing death on each other,
so bad.
which is the stupid thing you do when you're 20 years old. We're all like,
Yeah,
20 years old. We're all saying stupid stuff, but it stayed with me, and it's just because it was just a unique concept, especially in the horror genre. The unique and creative ways that they made death almost feel like this entity with purpose. Like the way it killed you was like it was toying with its food a little bit. And then it was almost like a domino effect where, okay, well, if the knives fall, then this woman's cooking popcorn in the stove. Now she's distracted because the knives fell. Now the popcorn's on fire, and this and that.
It'd be the sneaky way it would get you.
It was sneaky.
It would distract you. Like you said, playing with your food a bit.
Exactly. And one of the death scenes that gets me the most in that film is the way Todd dies in the bathtub. So there's the faucet that starts to leak, but the trail is like going in his direction, almost like a snake. So it's very deliberate. And it's kind of like taking its time. The camera's following that little trail. Todd's getting ready to jump in the shower. He he drops the soap. And he slips. And when he slips, he grabs onto like the shower head or something, or the shower curtain.
Yeah.
But the string wire gets wrapped around his neck.
Oh, jeez.
And the more he tries to move, it tightens around his neck. And because the water, he dropped the soap, it's slick, so his feet are sliding. It's rough. You actually see his eyes go bloodshot red. They show a close up of his eyes pop red. And the way he dies is brutal, man. But it's just little moments like that make the movie stand out to you. And then in the end, you have 3 people who think they make it. Nope, we got part 2 coming.
So that's a movie that's not on your list. You're audibly out of that to what?
No, that was on there.
Okay.
I wanted to add one. That would have been. I would have taken this off to add this one.
All right.
This is a movie I just saw a couple of months ago.
Oh, a new release.
Sleeper hit, but I think it's going to be an instant classic. Probably the scariest movie I've seen this year so far. And I'm going to go see Smile 2 next week, which I keep hearing is terrifying. I can't wait to see
You
it.
like the first Smile?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I like that they went. They dove into the mental health aspect to explain some of the things, and the subplot with the character was really cool.
I heard the viral marketing of that was crazy because they were putting actors in baseball games and having them sit behind the batters where you could see them on camera, and they would just smile the whole time.
They just stand there smiling. Everyone's cheering. This one lady is in the middle of the crowd smiling right at the camera.
Crazy.
It happened a couple of other different places too, like in public events. It was creepy.
That was crazy. All right, so what's this movie you saw 2 months ago?
This movie's called Oddity.
Oddity.
Yeah, never heard of it. There's no big stars in this. One of my filmmaking friends, he's got connections with South by Southwest. He's a photographer for that event, so he goes every year. So he gets to check out all these movies, and I see him post all these things. And we both talk about indie films and indie horror films, more specifically. And we talked about Maxine and Long Legs, and then Oddity comes out after this, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta check out this movie called Oddity." I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Just go watch the trailer. That's all I'm gonna say." And I watched the trailer. It's very ominous, very teaser-esque. It doesn't give you much, which I love. It's a horror film, so I'm already gonna see it. So you don't need to tell me a lot. It's about this psychic. She's blind. Of course, she's a blind psychic. This old lady, and her sister gets killed mysteriously. We don't know how it happens. When we watch the movie, we don't know how it happens. But she knows it's tied to her sister's boyfriend. So she impromptu shows up at the boyfriend's house and says, "Well, you invited me here to, just to hang out. Well, I'm here now," basically. Showed up out of the blue, out of nowhere. And meanwhile, the boyfriend already has moved on with somebody else, and she's there. And so the boyfriend works at this mental institution. He's like an office clerk or whatever. And he's like, "Well, I can't stay and entertain you now because I have to go to work. If you had given me a heads up, we could have worked something out. And she says, well, the sister says, well, can I just stay here? I won't get into anything. I'll just wait until you come back. So the boyfriend asks the new girlfriend, hey, can you just stay with her? And she's like, no, because the sister's acting really strange. She's already blind. We know she already has some kind of psychic ability or whatever. So we don't really know if she's good or bad, what her true intentions are. So they've already set the bar with the tension. It's really high already. So eventually the girlfriend decides to stay. Boyfriend goes to work. And she brings this trunk with her. And this trunk has this life-size, wooden-looking creature. Eyes like hold out. Like 3 holes in the back of the head like a bowling ball. And it just kind of sits there. You guys can't see it at home, but it sits like this. And
with its arms out,
yeah,
stretched.
It's sitting at a dinner table with the sister who brought that in the trunk and the girlfriend. But the thing moves, and we don't really know how. I kind of figured it out halfway through. But from the word go, this movie is like starts off with tension like I've never seen in a horror film, probably in the last 10 to 15 years. And I had the luxury, I guess maybe not luxury, depending on how you look at it, of seeing this in an empty theater by myself, like at 10 o'clock at night. So it just added to the atmosphere of being alone and out in the middle of nowhere. No one even knows I'm even in here. Anything could happen. I'm already kind of paranoid with empty theaters anyway.
Yeah, me too.
Somebody could be up there, but just below the seats.
Dude, there's always a sense of like somebody might have snuck in.
Always
surprised me or something. But look, if there was ever an atmosphere where you feel vulnerable, it should be vulnerable. It's a movie theater.
It is.
Especially an empty one. You just feel like there's nobody there to check on you. There's nobody at the wheel up there at the camera checking on you. Sometimes there's not even any security outside of the place. I mean, it's just, and you're sitting in the dark. You're so vulnerable.
I mean, literally anything could happen.
Yeah.
I think I saw this on a weeknight. So there's no security on a weeknight at a movie theater at 10 o'clock at night. And I'm not even doing this movie justice, but I highly recommend. If you love horror films, highly recommend this.
Oddity.
And it's funny because you mentioned Mike Flanagan was the director of what movie was that?
That was Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game.
Gerald's Game.
So Tanya again, she sent me an article. Mike Flanagan said this is the scariest movie of the year.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that adds a little more weight to it when somebody of that stature can say that about a movie like this.
Who cares about Flanagan? This is Mike's thing on the Mike and Mulley podcast. If you are a lover of horror films, go see Oddity.
Go see it for sure. I think it's actually streaming now. It's been a couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's on Amazon. You can rent it for $4. It's worth $10, $12, honestly, to me.
Oh, wow.
If I could go pay to see this in the theater again, I would. That's how good it was.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's... And thank goodness the spooky season is over.
Mulley is so glad this is over.
This is the worst season for me. Like it's all the reaction videos and all the reactors I usually like watching. They're all watching scary movies right now, so I don't get to watch much. And so this has been kind of left out of this season. But Mike's and Tanya's list for me has pushed me into the spooky season a bit. So Tanya, for sure. You and any other listeners that we have that are into horror films, Mike definitely wants to see your top 10 list. Mm-hmm. Mulley will ignore your lists because it means nothing to him, but Mike definitely wants to see them. So be sure that you submit through our various different channels of social media. We're on X, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and then obviously we are streaming on a plethora of different streaming platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon.
We have the episodes on my YouTube channel.
On Mike's YouTube channel.
Mike on the Mike 80. That's MIKE on the THEMIC 80. You can find all of our episodes there, as well as my other content that I shoot also on my YouTube channel.
There you go.
So like, share, subscribe, all that across all platforms. Help us to grow this. What are we going to call this episode? That's what I was going to ask you.
Oh, I figured it's just up to you. I think, I like the...
I just did the top 10 spooky season episode. I don't know.
I still like the movies that Mike made Mulley watch.
I love that. I love that title, yeah.
5 scary movies Mike made. Well, I don't even see, the thing is they're not scary, so...
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll come up with something.
Yeah, we'll figure it out,
that's another one in the books for us, Mike, and that ends what has been. This will be the most recent, the most quickest turnaround we've had in a podcast. So these guys are going to be getting this fresh here in the month of October.
Yes, sir.
And so we want to wish you a safe and happy holidays, obviously. And if you go out there trick-or-treating, be safe. Check those candies for razors, right?
Yes.
And what other Halloween advice do we have for them?
Stop hating on people who love candy corn. There's nothing wrong with candy
There's
corn.
nothing wrong with candy corn. I agree with
I see
that.
a lot of hate from that on social media, and I don't like it.
Now those peanuts, they can just go off.
And
I
raisins.
forget about
Yo, if I come to your house and you give me raisins, I'm going to TP your house
those.
after.
Raisins.
So that you'd be surprised.
Don't do that, folks. Thank you for listening. Check us out on all our different platforms. Mike, you have the final word.
Yeah, stop dressing up like Velma. Schoolgirls, that's old school. That's old, ladies.
Dressing up, ain't it? It's dressing up as the Velma.
It's not. Bro.
Send those photos over to Mike. The Velma, he's into that. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there.
Later.